Word up, it's Brad with Home Love Construction. And in this episode of the Critical Path podcast, I have somebody who I've gotten to call a friend for many years now. It's funny to say that. But Spencer Reynolds is here with me in the studio, in the Home Love studio. You know, you're actually the first guest to be in the Home Love studio.
Love being the first.
Yeah. So I'm super excited to have Spencer here today. We're going to talk a lot about networking, but Spencer's a very, what's the person who's like a man of many interests, like a polymath. I'm just going to use a bit of a polymath.
Okay.
Yeah. So Mr. Polymath, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell people who you are and what you do.
Spencer Reynolds, BNI Tampa. I have been a business owner, entrepreneur since I was 13 years old. And this latest iteration has finally been a family business and a family affair that we got adult children that work for us. My wife and I do, and it involves over 1,700 people all around the Tampa Bay area. Amazingly enough, we just hit $125 million in thank you for closed business in the last 12 months.
Wow.
A lot of business generated for a lot of business owners in the area.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, 125 million in any capacity is massive.
It's honestly dumbfounding to really go through and think about it.
Yeah, it is. So for anybody who doesn't know, what is BNI?
BNI is the largest referral organization in the world. We help people in small business grow their business by having connections, networking with other people, learning how to be a better networker, learning how to do things, and they pass each other referrals, and we live by the philosophy of givers gain. Yeah. If I give business to you, you will in turn give business to me. It may not come from the same person, but all of us grow.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, kind of circular. So I got introduced to BNI back in, I think it was 2019. It was because it was pre-2020. Mm-hmm. So in 2019, I was a member in a chapter up in Palm Harbor. Now, my employees are members of BNI chapters in different locations. But when I first walked into a BNI meeting, I remember I had gone to other like networking meetings, networking groups, whatever, like small little organizations. And I walked into a BNI meeting and I was like, this is different. Because the thing about BNI is there's a lot of like people say structure. I would say stability, and there's predictability of results.
Well, it's a 40-year track record.
Yeah,
nobody else has been doing it like that. And the 800-pound gorilla. There's lots of networking opportunities, but we're in 80 countries around the world, 330,000 members. It's a very large organization. Outside of our own little, most people think of BNI as their chapter of their 30, 40, 50 people.
Yeah. Yeah. So when I was, the other thing I was going to say on that is when I talk to people who are newer in construction, because now we're having success, I get questions from people who see my videos. You know, what's funny is the reason I started doing this podcast is because I get a lot more contractor comments on my social media than homeowner comments. I'm trying to reach the homeowners, but I'm just getting all the contractors. So I'm like, okay, I might as well talk to them, show them awesome, interesting people. But one of the things is they're like, when they're newer, like sub 1 million maybe in revenue, they're just doing a couple of projects here and there. They're like, hey, how do I get more large projects? And I'm like, you need personal referrals. And they're like, okay, how do I do that? Literally my advice to them is join a local BNI. Join a local BNI and then learn the strategy of who already has your customer, who just needs to know you, get to trust you, and then refer them to you.
Well, and be a specialist, right? Yeah. Because if you're not, then you're a wandering generality we were talking about. Yeah. And having this opportunity of having a group of people who focus on your business because they know what you do. The hard part is when I can do anything and everything.
That's right.
Having something specific makes a big difference.
Yeah, people remember it too. So when you, because I'm sure you meet small business owners all over the place in Tampa Bay, what do you, if you get an opportunity to talk to them about they want to grow their business or they mention it or something, how do you typically pitch BNI to people? If you had to do it yourself.
Yeah. Are you looking to grow your business?
Yeah.
I say that and people like, oh, of course. No, that's how I came here. Like 17 years ago, I was listening to what would have been a podcast back in the day. 17 years ago, they didn't have podcasts, but I had a company
back then.
Yeah, well, it was the Super Servant of the Month, a recorded CD sent out by mail once a month to listen to a recorded interview of a person. And I got them every month from this coaching club that I was a part of. Yeah. And this real estate agent, Terry Moyler, I will never forget, Thousand Oaks, California. She's on the CD, and I'm listening to it. And the guy interviewing her is one of the best business coaches, Joe Stumpf in the world.
Yeah.
And he says to her, Terry, what's the secret to your success? You're one of the top producing real estate agents in the world.
Yeah.
Why are you so good? She says, well, to start with, I would have to say, if you're not in BNI and you're in this for the long term, you're kidding yourself. And I'm like, BNI? What's BNI? I mean, I like literally went to the phone book. That'll tell you all it was. To the phone book, flipping through, looking up BNI, calling and saying, hey, this is what I do. And they're like, what do you do? I said, I'm a mortgage broker. And he's like, that is never going to happen. You're never going to get into a chapter.
Yeah.
And so 3.5 years, I kept calling back going, how can I get in? How can I get in? How can I get in? It was like, no. We're not going to, you just can't get into a BNI if your seat's not available. And it wasn't until a friend of mine, I'm sitting at a Utah Jazz game. My buddy sitting next to me is a real estate agent. He brought me to the game and he says, hey dude, you want to grow your business? I said, yeah. He goes, show up tomorrow morning at 7:00. Here's an address. I'm like, that's like 40 minutes from my house. What the heck is it? He goes, hey dude, do you want to grow your business? I said, yeah. He goes, then show up tomorrow morning. I said, but what is it? He says, dude, do you want to grow your business? I said, yeah. I show up and I went, this is something I've been trying to get into. And that day started my 17-year career inside of BNI because, hey, dude, do you want to grow your business?
Yeah.
So I laughingly say it to a lot of people, but like, if it's not that, then you're not ready.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome.
Because honest to goodness, and this goes for contractors more than anybody else.
Yeah.
If you're a one-man show and you join BNI, watch out.
Yeah.
Because you will not be able to handle possibly the growth that will happen inside of your world.
Yeah.
You got to be able to.
What you'll have to do, I agree with that. But I think just going a way that you could handle it would be at that point you would want to really qualify the projects you take on. And then the opportunity, I know you love the word opportunity, is you can actually then take the referrals that you're getting and then forward them to the other contractors.
100%.
Right. And that's how you can really carve out a niche. When you're so niche down, because I know contractors that do this, when you're so niche down and you literally turn away things that you could, in theory, you could actually do it. You know you could do it. You've done it before, but you push it away to somebody else. You're like, I just do this. And you actually prove it by turning. That's how you prove you're a specialist, is you say no to something that's not your specialty.
Absolutely.
That's like my philosophy on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I see a drywall guy doing, tile, I'm like, okay, you're not a drywall guy. My drywall guys would never do tile in a million years. So anyways, yeah, that's it totally makes sense.
Well, it's a line I've been using since I was speaking on stage. I ended up working for that company that did the Super Servant of the Month CD. I worked for them for 6 years, traveling all over the country and speaking on stage. And the line that I got from that was, the riches are in the niches.
Yeah.
Like if you are not niched down, you are nothing. Like you're just going to be what everybody else is.
Yeah.
So you got to be niched down. And that way you can also find a seat in a BNI chapter because a general contractor may not be available.
That's right.
But a drywaller, a tile layer, right? Like those things, a painter, those things you can get in to specific chapters if you know your niche down.
And if we want to go into kind of, so you're in BNI you're as a member for a long time as a mortgage broker. And then eventually you actually transition into, now you actually you own BNI Tampa, which is the Tampa franchise of BNI. Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit about how that, you don't have to go into specifics, but how did that happen?
A fun one. I actually came in because of that first day that I went to that first meeting that my buddy said, dude, you want to grow your business? And the guy I'd been speaking to for 3.5 years, every 3 months, I literally had an ongoing one in my Outlook as a calendar appointment that came up and says, call Gary. And I'd call Gary and he'd say, no. And so that day he introduced me to the guy that owned the franchise. So that guy ran the franchise for him, but the owner lived in Knoxville and he was there because he skis and comes a few times a year to Utah. So he was there speaking. I go up to the guy and I said, I've been talking to that guy for 3.5 years and he won't let me in a chapter. I need to talk to you about how to do this. And he said, let's talk. And I said, come to my house for dinner tonight. So that before dinner was over, he said, I want you to be a director. I'd never been to a BNI meeting before and the director the first day. So they started training me. 3 months later, I was training BNI. 6 months later, he had fired that guy and put me in running the whole thing.
Oh, wow.
And we had, 300-ish members, a little less than 300. And then over the next 6 years plus, I grew that to 1,200 and he wouldn't sell it to me because I made it too much money. So I really did run it from the beginning, starting that process. And I didn't even know what I was doing. But the training system, right? It's a franchise. It's a model. You go and you learn and you get trained. And now you have an amazing opportunity to continue that thing.
Yeah. And then, so how did that transition into BNI Tampa?
So then it was like a fun story, actually.
You wanted to buy that one.
Yeah, I wanted to buy. What happened is I had been in BNI, done it for a long time, and then had a we all have times when we move away from people.
Yeah, of course.
I wanted to invest more in the people. The guy who owned it didn't. And it was like, hey, that's okay. He's
Sure,
a good friend of mine still. He came to my house, went water skiing 2 months ago with me.
Yeah.
But that process was like, okay, I'm done with that. I went and worked with the brother for a little while, helping him do people in his business and training, because that's what I do.
Yeah.
And so helped him do that. And then we were done with that project. And my wife's like, what do we want to do when we grow up? And I just said, I don't know. And she goes, you've always been the happiest when you were with BNI. So let's go find a BNI. We started looking all over the country, and we were looking in Southern California. We were looking in Georgia. We were looking in Washington, D.C. We were looking in North Carolina, like all over the place.
Yeah.
And this was not an option.
Yeah.
But the guy who was over franchise development for the company called me and said, I just talked to a guy who's 5 years out, but if you could talk him into going faster, it's the one you want.
Oh, wow.
And I said, what is it? He said, I can't tell you. But if you sign another NDA for this one specifically, then we can have that. So I did that. And then he says, it's Tampa. And I'm like, no way. So I talked to the guy, and he's like, well, I mean, I'm 3 to 5 years before I really want to get going. I said, I'll come out next week and let's talk.
Yeah.
And he's like, that was not what I was expecting. And so I jumped on a plane, came here, went to a training, saw what he had, and went, what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? It took us a year to put the whole thing together, because this was the 9th out of 186 franchises. This is the 9th largest in the whole country at the time.
Yeah.
And so it took a lot of times to put it together, and all the processes and everything like that. But yeah, I mean, it's where we wanted to be long-term, and that's what we did.
Yeah. Super fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of shifting back onto like success in BNI, because I'm assuming there'll be BNI members who watch this.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say that you've observed is the critical piece for a member to succeed in BNI? Like, what's the thing that you see the successful people actually do that you see non-successful people not do?
I think it's the exact same thing
Yeah.
that you do in business.
Yeah.
It's consistency of a proven system, right?
Yeah.
We all know in business, you only have to do 2 things.
Yeah.
If you want to succeed in business, you have to find reciprocal business relationships and teach people how to do it.
Yeah.
Like, how do I refer you?
Yeah.
You do that, you win.
Yeah.
Because that means you're going to grow your business and you're going to get business, and that's how you make money.
Yeah.
So it's that process is all it really takes. Same thing in BNI. It's like, you do the specifics that we know work.
Yeah.
And you just do them consistently.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, if you want to get better at something and you want to learn, like, you just do it consistently and you do it the right way.
Yeah.
And that's really all it takes. I mean, there's just no, like, rocket surgery is what I call it. There's no brain surgery. There's no rocket science to it. It's, do you have one-to-one conversations with other business owners, teaching them how to refer you?
Yeah.
And if you do that regularly, and I'm not talking once a week, I'm talking many times a week.
Yeah.
Now, the baseline is expectation. Do it once a week.
Yeah.
That's a BNI expectation. But why would you not spend more time with those kind of people?
Totally.
I every training I go in, every meeting I go to, I always ask the same question. Yeah. And I say, only raise your hand if you're serious. How many of you genuinely want to find a referral for every single person in this room?
Yeah.
And every hand goes up.
Yeah.
That means, why would you spend time with anybody else if you can teach them and they want to help you find referrals?
Yeah, that's true. So that's a good
getting
point.
good at that, right?
Yeah.
Consistency and having that opportunity. There's people who do it with 1 a week. Yeah. But a really good friend of ours, Rich, he's an insurance guy.
Yep.
And Rich will say, he who or she who does the most one-to-ones wins.
Yeah.
And his average is 6 to 8 a week, which some people go, I can't spend that much time doing BNI. And I go, there is no such thing as doing BNI. Nobody works for BNI but me and my family.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody else works for your company, and this is your marketing time.
Yeah.
Your guys are doing Home Love Construction in their BNI chapter, and this is their marketing opportunity.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's not anything outside of, it's the addition to, this is the marketing arm of your business.
Yeah.
And if you just do consistent, that's what makes it work.
Yeah, totally. And I think that one thing that people get hung up on that, I mean, in my opinion, they shouldn't, is, you said find reciprocal business relationships and then pass referrals, right?
Yeah, like, teach them how to do it.
Yeah, teach them how to do it. Generate more business. Mm-hmm. What you're taking for granted, and you should in the way you're saying that, is the delivery of whatever the product or service is. But that's like, there are so many people who run businesses that are so small that the delivery is not an automatic for them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I think that should actually be a call to action to those small people of get your delivery to be an automatic. Like, I think it was, what's your youngest name? Cameron. So when we were working really closely, when I was actually working, I guess not I mean, would you say I worked for BNI?
Sort of. Yeah.
Sort of. I was like a contractor.
Yeah.
So, so just for context, I was an area director for BNI. The system has since been changed, but basically my job was to help Spencer create new chapters and then run existing chapters, which it was a blast. I had a lot of fun and met so many amazing people doing that. That was an amazing opportunity just for me personally. But actually, our biggest project up until 2 years ago would not have come my way if I hadn't done that, I think. That's my, like, just seeing the way it went, I'm like, yeah, I don't think it would have gone that way.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, you were telling me about him starting a car washing business. And you coached him. He was like, Dad, they're not doing it right, blah, blah, blah. They don't get it as clean as me. I have to do it myself. And you're like, listen, man, you're not trying to get them to, do you want to just say it like what you told him? You know exactly what I'm talking about.
I do.
Yeah.
You're never going to find 100%.
Yeah.
You may be able to do 100%, but you're looking for 80%.
Yeah.
And then you can polish up the other 10.
Yeah.
But you're never going to get 100% no matter what as a business owner, as the person who's not doing the work.
Right.
Because you can only hire so good.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to be an owner and then they're going to leave you. And honestly, that's what all of us need to realize.
Yeah.
If you find a good enough person, if they're good enough, they're going to leave. They're going to start their own thing.
Sure.
That's
like if
just
they're
what
good
happens.
enough, like day one, they can just do everything automatically.
And you can train somebody up that becomes really good. That's why it's up to you as a business owner to make sure that you retain people by the love, by the money, by the activities, by the whatever it is that makes you special in your business. But if you don't do that,
ability for them to win,
they're going to leave, right?
Yeah.
So, but the point is, you're not going to get anything more than 80%.
Yeah.
So if you get 80 and you might only get 70, and then you got to train up to 80 to get that. But you're going to get this deliverable that's going to be good.
Yeah.
You need to make it great by making sure you still have your fingers in it up front. But the growth, the bigger you go, right? I was just listening to the Acquired podcast. Have you listened to this, by the way?
Acquired
is the best podcast online. It's big. Like these guys, I mean, I'm listening to an episode right now.
Like just big players, big moves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meta is their current 6.5-hour podcast. Not small. All of these are audio book level quality of dig, and these two guys are
so they're like very, very finite research. They go 6 hours, like they put on an episode and it's a 6-hour episode.
One a month.
Ricky, we're gonna have to get ready.
Yeah.
We're doing it, Ricky. So come on.
There's some fun things with it, right? They've done smaller ones and they've had some interviews that they've done.
Yeah.
They had Mark Zuckerberg on.
Oh, wow.
I mean, they had Jensen from NVIDIA. Like, right? You're talking the biggest people in the world are on this.
Isn't that crazy that it's slightly more impressive than Mark Zuckerberg right now? Crazy.
But I don't know what got us there. What were we talking?
As far as businesses, like getting somebody up to 70, 80%.
Yeah.
And then.
So, right, you're never going to get all those people. As you scale a business, doesn't matter, because that's what these guys talk about, is how do they scale their business? I mean, they went to Hermes. I mean, they've done lots of different businesses. Most of the time, technology businesses are Acquired podcast.
Yeah.
But inside of every one of them, they're not looking for perfection ever.
No.
That's just not what you do.
Yeah.
You have to build in a tolerance, just like everything else in a business does.
That's right.
What is your tolerance level? And as a business owner, first thing you got to do is lower your tolerance, because otherwise all you're going to go is expectations of 100, which means you're never going to grow.
Contractors, listen.
Yeah. You're never going to
This is the contractor's number one mistake. It's like, nobody does it as good as me, dude. Of course nobody does it as good as you.
That's why you're doing it.
Yeah, that's right.
But when you don't want to hit the hammer and you don't want to turn the wrench anymore, somebody else has to do it. And if they can do it 80%, that's good.
Yeah.
Now you help them make it amazing. And you have project managers. You have people who polish the top of that so that it looks good. In the car washing example, you can have people that you can teach how to wash the car. You can have them vacuum the floor. And then you can have them do all the things. Yeah. But you're the one who takes it and backs it into the parking spot so that it's cockeyed, and you do all the last finished touches so you make sure that every window looks perfect and the emblems are clean and the wheels are done. That's the final little polish. It only takes a few minutes. Yeah. But that's what takes it from 80 to 90 or in that realm. Yeah. And then you can have 50 guys all washing cars, and you're going, and now you got to hire other people who know how to do the polishing.
That's right.
Because all you're doing then is making the happy people inside as you give keys and get keys and feed them for their business. And so same thing happens in the construction world and everything else. You can have an amazing amount of people that will do amazing amounts of jobs as long as you have people, or you yourself are the one who does the finishing polish. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, totally. Dude, that's amazing. So we kind of covered like what's the successful, thing in BNI. For BNI chapters,
Because so there's kind of, man, I just want to reiterate for a second, like if you're a contractor and you want to grow and you haven't like dug into BNI and what it actually is, it is really a big opportunity. I'm thinking about it and I'm like, man, that was like such great, like I literally like doubled the size of our business in 1 year because of that. It was awesome. But, and thank you for putting that opportunity there. But because my chapter didn't exist before you took over BNI Tampa, it was launched and I came to the launch. There's a different word, but basically the launch party, and I submitted my application.
I call it launch party too.
Yeah, launch party. Yeah, and it is. It was like a party. It's great.
Believe we've doubled the number since we got here?
Yeah.
Took us from number 9 to number 1, a long way above number 1.
Yeah. In total members, right? Yeah, amazing. So for chapters, like, because once you have a BNI chapter, it becomes its own ecosystem, right? 100%. It becomes its own unit.
Yeah.
And those as units can succeed, do okay, or fail. Like, you don't really let chapters fail because you'll come in and like freaking boot camp it if you have to.
There's people who will let them get to the point where they will no longer be valuable, and then the rest of the people are no longer there. So that's normally about 5 people, and then they go, "We can't do this anymore."
Yeah, exactly.
I will never shut a chapter; they will close themselves.
That's right.
And there's only happened a couple times.
Exactly. So those aside, what is the thing that as a chapter you see the successful chapters do that really just blow them up? And also this is applicable to any BNI chapter. Yeah. And there's thousands all over the world.
It has the same thing to do with your business. That's the universality of BNI is whatever you learn in BNI, you apply in your business. And so the same thing, whatever you learn in your chapter, apply to your business, which you apply, right? So the chapter that gets it is once again specialized.
Yeah.
They're a niche. Yeah. They allow niche people in. As soon as you have, let's just do a big broad stroke.
Yeah.
A real estate person who says, I do real estate residential, I do industrial, I do commercial, I do property management, I do it all.
Yeah.
We call them category cowboys.
Yeah.
I get it all. So the same thing can happen.
Because their stance is so wide, they straddle so many.
We can do it all. We're the best there ever was, right? So you got those folks who say that. And then you could have the same thing happen in insurance. Well, we do insurance for this and this and this and commercial and residential and health insurance and life insurance, and they could do anything. Well, sure you can.
Yeah.
But the one person who's the niche inside of health insurance or the Medicare insurance, that is different. You can have the two same people that can be referral partners. Same thing in construction. You can have the one that I'm a general, I can do anything.
Yeah.
Well, but what if you had 15 people?
Yeah.
Who all did different things and you all fed each other.
Yeah.
Now you have 250 relationships on average per person. You add the connected amount of that. Now you went from 2,000 or 3,000 connections to 10,000 or 15,000 connections made by your personal network. That's why you grow. That's why you specialize. Same thing in your business. If you don't specialize, people don't refer you because of that.
Yeah.
Then you are, right, whatever you get.
Yeah.
Strategically plan who you are. Strategically go for this is who I am and this is my business.
Yeah.
Now everybody has something to talk about.
Yeah.
Because if I don't have something to talk about, I won't talk about you.
Yep, that's right. Or if you're uncertain about what to talk about. Like if you don't have the thing, like, hey, I do blah, right? Like there's, painters, like that's a great example of I paint. Like, do you pressure wash? I paint. Like if you can just stick to that one thing, that I've seen works like super duper well. The other thing that I was realizing as you were saying that I didn't get when I first joined BNI is I thought that when I decided on what my niche would be, that I would be stuck in that forever. But that's not the way it works. If you do that, that actually allows you to take on more later. That's the crazy thing about going specific. What do you think that is? It's
called the brain. It's the way our brain works.
Yeah.
You think of the most successful thing that made Google what it is.
Yeah.
Was predictive search.
Right.
Blank white screen thing in the middle and you type. But as soon as it got smart enough to go, oh, you're typing tarpon. Maybe you need tarpon springs. Maybe you need tarpon fish. Maybe you need, and all comes below your predictive.
Yeah.
That's what the brain's doing. It's going, what about? And then you give it another one and another one and another one. And now all of a sudden you go, I'm looking for a painter in Tarpon Springs and all of a sudden it goes, here's the person.
Yeah.
That's how our brain works.
Yeah.
If you don't do that,
yeah,
you don't get people's brains working.
Yeah.
You go, I'm a chiropractor. I help anybody with a back. Ha, ha, ha.
Yeah.
That's not funny.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to listen. Nobody's going to give you anything because they don't know anybody to send you.
Yeah.
Instead of, I want something specific. So I trained this, and I was trained on this by the real estate coaching company that I was in years ago. And Joe Stump, right? Riches are in the niches, teaches me this. And it was like, you need to know who you are. And as you said, once you turn away the things that you don't do, now you really are.
Yeah.
And as a mortgage broker, I only dealt with one really clear person because I had a niche market and I focused all my energy and effort on finding who that person is.
Yeah.
And now all I have to do is find more of those. And I had to find the right people who also know those. And that's what BNI is genius, is helping you find the other people who have play in the same pool that you play in.
Right.
So my pool was very large, big homes. So I mean, and in Utah where I came from, they build lots bigger houses than they do in Florida. It's very interesting because there's basements, so you get double square footage and all that stuff, right? So I mean, my average client had an 8,000 square foot home.
Oh my gosh.
And they would be a business owner.
There's probably like 20 of those.
Right. So the business owner that wrote everything off.
Yeah.
Perfect credit and $1 million+ loan.
Yeah.
Now people would look at that and go, that's impossible. There's only this many of them.
Yeah.
But that means that's all I have to look for. And I'm only looking for the onesie twosies. I had people in my office, if they made $1,500 on a loan, that was great.
Yeah.
My average was 8,000.
Yeah.
I didn't have to work as hard because I focused on the right thing that was my perfect client.
Yeah.
Now, I happen to love that business. I was in the auto detailing business before I got into that, so I was always working with high-end clients. So it just led into the perfect thing that I already knew, that niche of people.
Yeah.
But that niche I stayed with. Now, would I do other things? I'd bring it in, and then I'd go give it to Jen, or I'd give it to all my other Mike and all the other guys in my office that I built a business for. But it was just like, when it all came down to it at the end, I was left as a sole producer in my mortgage business doing one type of loan for one type of person.
Yeah.
But all I had to do was a handful of those a year and made a great living.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't have to do 20 loans a month like some people did.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what's funny is whenever, I forget where, maybe it was just said so much that it just became like a known thing. But a thing that we used to say a lot, maybe it's you still say it, but is when you ask for anyone, I hear no one.
Yeah.
Do you still say that?
I say anyone, anything, somebody, somewhat. That's all means zero. Like put circle around it, line through it, never say them again because nobody's going to help you. Yeah.
So specificity, being able to be specific, is actually a mark of sanity. It's so Elon Musk actually talks about doing interviews, and he talks about interviewing engineers specifically. And he says the mark of a good engineer is you ask them, he just chooses to ask them this question. He asks, what's the hardest problem you ever solved? And the person who can talk you through the specifics, not vague, but specifically what they did to solve that problem in real numbers, actual like things they physically did and how things came together, that's a person who's a good engineer. Somebody who has to talk about things vaguely is not a good engineer. It works the same way with business people. And it goes also down to like employees as well. Yeah. If an employee at Home Love Construction gives me a vague answer, I do not accept the vague answer. I find the specific answer that maybe they're trying to give me, but they just didn't say it. And I'm like, okay, you literally told me nothing. And I'll say, I'll like, when you say something, like I did something, I'm like, I hear you did nothing. So please let me not have that impression of you that you're doing nothing. Like I'm pretty brutal about it.
Actually do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. What, I mean, so actually I want to kind of switch gears from that on the business of BNI. What does that look like for you now? Cause it's changed and evolved over time as you've gone from, I mean, when you bought BNI Tampa, it was still a decently sized region, but now it's just
the 9th largest, right? It was a large organization.
But it's huge now.
Yeah. And I had to get, for all the contractors to get this, I had to get intimately aware of every step of everything, where every screw went, where every paintbrush line was, where every tape line, where
every application got uploaded.
Yeah. So every single thing I had to learn how to do.
Yeah.
Then I found the way to efficiently do it, and I'm a tech freak, so I took it and went way technology right. The guy that I bought the business from was the exact antithesis of that. He was 100%. He built the system, the antithesis.
Oh, antithesis.
He was not that technology
for contractors.
He was not. He was the guy who did not do technology.
Oh wow!
At all. He was running the region office with 8 women.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
And
this.
it was all manually done and shuffling papers and everything was, and the
Scanning,
first thing I
faxing.
did was like, here, we're going to put this with the 3 leaders that I had, that I started with, that I inherited when I bought the business.
Yeah.
I need to have a Google sheet that has who you're talking to on what days in each one of those chapters. So if I wanted to jump on one of those Telebridge lines back in the day before Zoom, I could jump on one of those calls. And it was like, melt brain. What?
Yeah.
What is a Google sheet? I've never even heard. Like, I'm like, oh boy, I didn't realize we were going to have to like go back to the beginning of how to log in. Right. So
in the beginning of technology, there was a Google Sheet.
yes. So right, you've got to have a technology level of something.
And before that, there was a Google Drive.
Yes. Right. But you got to have a Google account. I don't need another Gmail account. No, it's not about a Gmail account.
I know.
Do you need an Amazon account to buy something on Amazon? No, right? So there's a level of which you have to get. So the business itself, I went and took technology to really simplify I wouldn't say simplify yet. Really what I did is how can we do this more efficiently and found the right technology system to do most of the activities.
Yeah.
Brought that down to a level, then went into simplifying.
Yeah.
And if you look at what we used to do as let's just say a vice president in a chapter, we have volunteer leaders in every chapter that help grow those chapters and do the facility of making the chapter happen.
Yeah.
A vice president job used to be fairly difficult. Like it took a lot of effort.
Yeah.
Now it takes less than 1 hour.
Wow.
Right? Like,
wow, that's great.
And that's
really
coming from somebody who had to train them and knew what they used to do.
Yeah.
Literally less than 1 hour.
Yeah.
And we've alphaletted so much else. Right.
Yeah.
So that side of it, I'm very much a systems guy, but I'm a systems architect. I build the system. I don't do the system.
Yeah.
So I know how to make it happen. And now I've gotten better and better not having to do all the system either.
Yeah.
Now I go, here's what I want it to do. Now you go do it.
Yeah.
Right. Now you go do it. And so I find the people. So like, I mean, just today, I had 3 things that normally I would take on, do this thing, put this thing in place. And I sent an email that said, need you to do this. Ask her for questions. Yeah. And it's like, I got a graphic designer, I got a system guy, and they're going to do it, bring it back to me when it's done.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get more than 80% probably.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because they'll do it faster than I can do it. And you've got to eliminate the bottleneck of yourself inside of that. So the bigger you become, the more you allow other people to let their light shine.
Yeah.
Otherwise, all you have is one shining star, and that doesn't work for a business.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, dude. Oh my God, there's so much in that response. I'm like all over the place in what I even want to talk about from that. So in terms of making things simpler, did you at any point when you were creating new systems, because I got to see some of that, and the outside feedback that I would sometimes see would be, and I even felt myself thinking this a couple times, like, oh my God, another system or like another thing for
another login and
right. Yeah, exactly. So another great Elon quote for you is what the best part is?
Removing everything away is this?
No, the best part is no part.
No part. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I love in his book, right, as it talks about, he removed and removed and removed until it broke, and then he'd add 10% back. Right.
That's right. Yeah.
So that I love. I remove and go. So my thing is how can I make sure I make it easier?
Yeah.
This is my business, not their business. And you, as a member, I want it easy for you. I want you to go, all I need to do is focus on connecting with other people, making referrals happen. And that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Not all the administrative. And so we made it easier and easier and easier to the point where now it's like, you don't have to focus on all that.
Yeah, that's right.
And when it came to all the other things that we did in the business that I simplified, I can hire somebody that can do it in scale, and they can do it way better than you're going to do it.
That's right.
Because you're volunteering and helping, and I thank you.
Yeah.
But you don't really care. I mean, you care to a point, but when you have somebody who applies to your chapter and they want to become a member, well, who has the time to set up the interview and to get the interview done, and then to take that back to the team saying, here's the membership committee, this group of people who says, do we want this person in our group? Right. That took 2 weeks to get that done. I developed a system that I totally turned it on its ear, and now everybody else in the country is actually changing their business to go, we want to model what you've done. Yeah. Because I've taken it, turned it upside down and gone, okay, here's the entry point now. Instead of the way that it's done, I turned it completely upside down. Yeah. Now you come in with an expression of interest form, make your payment up front. Now we know you're serious. Yeah. Where the payment used to happen at the end. Yeah. And now we were chasing it. Yeah. Now it's like up front. Here you go. If you're ready to make it happen, great. If not, we've been here for 40 years. Come back. We'll be here when you're ready.
Yeah.
And I just had that conversation with a realtor on the way here driving as I was on the phone.
Yeah.
I'm like, when you're ready, call me back. If you're not ready, don't worry.
Yeah.
So having that, and then we went to a video interview system.
Yeah.
Like who uses well, if you're in the HR world, and I happened to come for 3.5 years of the project I did with my brother, I was doing HR.
Yeah, of course.
And so I found the HR systems online. And when you have an HRIS, an information system for HR, those do those kinds of things where they do video. So I then changed all of our chapters to doing online video interviews, because now you can do it at 10 o'clock at night. Doesn't matter when you're done with your job. And then you fill out your application. Right, it's all done. It can take you 20 minutes to do the whole thing. But now instead, I hand it to a silver platter to that membership committee saying, here's your payment, here's your interview, and here's your application. Do you want this person? Now they get to talk about relationships.
The interview's done, and then the data, the information, all just goes in, and they get to pick it apart.
Because I have a full-time person whose job is get all three things and hand it to them on a platter.
Oh, that's really smart.
And so now it's not leaving it up to a group of volunteers to hopefully get it in the next week or two. It's I hired somebody, we got it done today.
Yeah.
And it's all done today.
So I'm going to make a prediction that could totally not come true, but I think it will come true if BNI wants to really explode, is I predict that the membership committee will go away. I think it actually will have to go away, because what you can have is you can have people who get in agreement with they can basically make the chapter a click, right? Now,
I found a good, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I agree in some ways, but here's the contrary side of that. And that is a membership committee who's deciding whether or not to let people into the group, because you want to be selective, but at the same time, as you're saying, you don't want to be too cliquey and too selective that you get to this point. One of the ways we've done that is we've never been able to capture the lost leads. So in your business, in every contractor's business, you have people who come in the door, and there's those that if you kept up with them, you're going to do more business in the long term. But the reality is, you work us on what's on right now, right? Yeah. So if you have that opportunity, that
contractor is the perfect example for that. No follow-up ever.
So the follow-up piece, right? All that happens. Well, once again, thinking, I'm one of these where I'm a wanderer. I don't know if you've read The 6 Types of Working Genius.
No.
Patrick Lencioni. Yeah. Phenomenal. If you haven't, if you have a team, go buy the book. Yeah. It's phenomenal. The podcast, 78 episodes. I've done every one of them. I'm dug deep into it. Yeah. Really good. I'm a wonder. A wonder is like, I wonder what we can do with this. And it's like the invention comes after the wonder. And so I'm a wonder invention, and I don't have the other things very good. And there's 6 types. Those are the first 2. I'm really good at that. That's where everybody goes, oh no, not another system, right? Because I wonder and I invent something and then now figure out how to make it work. And now my team is tampering that to make sure that it fits inside of the plan, but I'm still doing a lot of that. Yeah. So I buy software programs and all kinds of crap and all this stuff, right? And make it all big. But here's the thing. As you have this opportunity to get things done, you got to go, did it make it easier? Yeah. Or did it make it more complex? Yeah. So I made it easier and easier. Well, I found a system that I go, okay, now how do we not lose those people? Yeah. I've got to have a chapter placement person on a regional basis that will take anybody who's not taken into a chapter to another chapter. Yeah. We always wanted to, and we had these growth coordinators. We had different people that we would put like, oh, we're going to liaise with each other and be in a WhatsApp group or do something. And it always fell. And it always fell flat until I said, I'm hiring somebody that is going to do that job. And now guess what? They run 3 times a week, online Zoom meetings, Discover BNI, helping people discover what it's about. And then we help you find the right chapter and put you in the right chapter. And if that chapter goes, nope, you're not the right fit, then they go, fine, we'll put you in this chapter. Yeah. And we found the way to now not have it fall through the cracks where 80% of the people go away. Yeah. We retain them and we go, okay, that click group doesn't like you because they want to only have their little click. Yeah. Great. Next door, here's the next one. Because we have 58 groups all over the bay. Yeah. You're going to find a home in one of them. The other interesting thing about, so in my BNI chapter, one of the major roles that actually I held for 2 years consecutively was, damn it, you're the best at it. You don't even know the name of it. It was too long. It's still too long. Visitor host orientation. All right. It was first the open networker orientation facility. There we go. Yeah. You think I'm the best at it? Oh, you and Tim. Oh, let's go. You and Tim were probably the highest people
Yeah.
if we want to call it closing.
Well, yeah. I mean,
the reality is
interested parties to say yes.
right.
Yeah.
The reality is in BNI and in anybody's business, if you're not good enough
Yeah.
that everybody talks about how good you are, you got a problem.
Right.
You got to get good at your, like you said at the beginning, you got to be good at the core competencies of what you're going to.
Yeah.
Our meetings are good.
I'm so complimented.
No question.
Wow.
Our meetings are good.
Yeah.
Right. Depending on which chapter, whether you fit the flair of this one's loud and rambunctious, this one's fun, this one's serious.
I've never been to a BNI Tampa meeting and I'm like, well, that meeting is messed up.
Yeah.
It just,
they run a good meeting.
Yeah.
And some of them are phenomenal meetings.
Oh, some are, dude.
In 90 minutes, if you saw the meeting and you didn't go, I want to be a part of that.
That's right.
Move on.
Yeah,
I don't need you. I don't need you to be here. It's okay.
Yeah.
There's another way for you to do business. It's not with people that are going to give you business.
That's right.
So let's go that route.
Yeah.
And so having that ability is sales. So when I say you don't need a closer, you need to give somebody the opportunity to do business with you.
Yeah.
That's what all of us need to be better at.
Yeah.
How are you going to give them the opportunity to do business with you?
Yeah.
They should already be sold before they come because you're coming from a referral.
That's right.
And if you're not, then you need to go to BNI because you need to grow your business by referral.
Yeah, exactly. You know what's funny about that is the only thing that we would do, and I love Tim, but I was the one who would do it typically, is I would just ask, are you interested in submitting an application for membership today? I would just say that and I would shut up.
And guess what? I built my entire system around your question.
Oh yeah, let's go. And that was it. But by the way, I didn't make that question up. That's actually what it says to do in the manual. I just did what the manual says.
That's the thing that so many people don't get.
Yeah.
There is a system. There are people smarter than us who came up with that system because that's their thing, right? You're good at construction, putting these things together and doing it. That's why you're good at what you do.
Yeah.
I suck with a hammer.
Right.
Like, I should never have one.
Can I tell you a secret?
Yeah.
I'm actually like mediocre at construction.
Oh, well, you're good at the business of getting the people to do construction.
That's right.
Yes, right. So I call myself, and I know my wife, so many people in my life hate it when I use this word because it's not politically correct, but I'm not politically correct all the time.
Let's go.
But I am a absolute retard.
Yeah.
Right? You're not supposed to use that word anymore. But I am a mechanical retard.
Yeah.
I can't do anything.
Yeah.
Like I work well with American Express.
Yeah.
That is my work level. Not with hammers.
That's your hammer?
Yeah.
Bang this.
I have a guy on my roof right now because I'm not getting on the roof.
Yeah.
It ain't going to happen.
American Express got on the roof.
Yes.
Wow. Oh, yes. That's so amazing. That's going to be a great clip. I'm good with I can already see the reel.
And that's who you're looking for if you're a contractor. You are looking for guys who are not do-it-yourselfers.
That's right.
Because the do-it-yourselfers are going to do it and they're going to want it cheap.
Yeah.
You don't want the cheap.
Yeah.
You want the guy who goes, I'm going to screw it up. I don't want to do it. Here's my card.
Yeah.
And if you find those people, that's you building your niche, right?
You know, the funny thing about that is like, to some extent, I think that's why we've been successful. There's many factors. One of the factors is I am not a do-it-yourself kind of guy. So I understand the mindset of the people who are coming to our business thinking about not doing it themselves because I have tested it many times trying to do things myself.
Mm-hmm.
I always regret it. I didn't put the studio together myself. Like
there would be so many extra parts.
I did the wall.
I should be in something.
Yeah, exactly. I did the wall. There are extra parts for the wall. It could fall down. No, it won't really. I don't think. Hopefully, but I
don't have to worry about earthquakes. But we do have to worry about
no earthquakes. We're at a high spot, so it's not going to flood. I had to put that thing up 3 times, but on the 3rd time, Ricky, did you put up with me the 3rd time? No, you did the first time. Though,
so if you had somebody like a Walter Green, like an AV guy,
oh dude, I should have had time that fast. Do it. Right? Honestly, yeah, Ashley Dim.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I should have actually hired Walter.
That's who you want to become.
I love Walter too.
You want to become the connector of everyone.
Yeah.
That's so that when somebody says, I got a name, I got a person. Like people ask all the time, like, how many connections do you have? I'm like, more than you can imagine.
A lot.
I've got a lot. I maxed out Facebook. I've maxed out LinkedIn. 10,000, 11,000. I do. I have it right there. I just looked it up yesterday. 10,962 contacts.
10,000?
10,000.
Ricky, can you bring? Is my phone over there? I want to see now. It's on. No, it's on the thing. Yeah. I'll look it up later
and put it in
text.
Yeah.
I think I only have it's got to be 5,000 or 6,000. But I thought that was a lot. Like it is usually with our sales team, our estimators we call them. I'll go in and I'll be like, hey, just randomly if I'll randomly do this from time to time, and I'll check how many contacts are in their phone. Most of them don't even know that you can see by scroll. It's to the bottom.
To the bottom.
Yeah. Most of them don't even know.
I had to look it up on ChatGPT yesterday because I was on a training and this guy had an Android. I'm like, I'm so sorry you have an Android, but let me find the answer on ChatGPT of how to find it. And it's like, you can go up to the top hamburger and hit the button. It will tell you all contacts and a number, or go to the bottom of the list. So
Okay.
for those of you who don't have an iPhone, I'm sorry for you.
For those who are phone retarded, we'll just say that.
Well, I mean, there's only so many people who can be cool. And no,
There's a limited number. So, oh my God, I'll go in and I'll check with them, and they'll have like 1,000 contacts, and I'll point it out to them like, do you save every person you talk to in your phone? And they're like, no. I'm like, okay, I do. If I have the time to save every person I talk to on my phone, don't you think you should? And they're like, oh. And then like all of our executives do the same thing because they've just seen. Like if somebody calls you and you pick up the phone and you know who they are, they just take you more seriously. It's just like, hey, how's it going, Bob? Like it's just a level of like you care enough about your connections and you recognize the value of being connected with other people.
So can I go off on a tangent on this?
Yeah, it's tangent time.
So tangent on this one in particular.
Yeah.
Every single person listening to this podcast, if you do not currently have a virtual assistant, you're out of your mind.
Yeah.
Okay, so first and foremost, I don't care if they're overseas
I don't have
or
a virtual assistant.
if you do not have somebody that you can have do the activities that will generate you more like that, I don't need to add the person to my phone.
Yeah.
Right? I need their business card or their contact information.
Yeah.
I send it to Gwen.
Yeah.
Gwen is in Manila.
Yeah.
Gwen makes sure that she sends the email and the follow-up system that I have created with her, and she puts them in my contacts.
Yeah.
Right? So that it continues to happen.
Let me revise my statement. I have a version of that.
You have an assistant
for
that does things.
what we do. It's like I don't have it for me, it's not an assistant, it's a system I built around myself so that I can rapidly give a particle to somebody and it goes to all the places it's supposed to go.
Yes.
A version of that for sure.
Yes.
There's just not one person. It's like multiple people.
Yeah. But not every. Most contractors, they're not the highest on the technical skill of technology.
Yeah.
So don't try to be, right? Once again, niche.
Yeah.
Find other people who are freaking way awesome at it that you're not. Yeah. And you can find them for cheap. And when I say cheap, I mean a couple $100 a month cheap. Yeah. You can get and then you have to go, what can you do for me?
Yeah.
And then they tell you, oh, I can do this. I can put all these social media pictures up for you.
Yeah.
Perfect. How do you get the pictures? We can create them on AI or we can go get bigger.
Yeah.
They all of a sudden come up with all
Grok
of this
will make them because Grok has no rules.
Oh, yeah.
I'll make you anything you want.
There you go. The disruptor.
If it's not illegal, it'll make it.
So having somebody in your process, in your world that makes it better for you.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you're not good at doing the bills.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody, in my opinion, has to have at least 2 or 3 people in their life.
Yeah.
And the first one, when I was business coach. So I was a business coach for many years and would sit down and coach with people and go through it. And I would say the first hire you need to have is going to make the biggest difference in your life. And do you know who the first hire? I want to see if you can get this. Who's the number one first hire you should have in your life?
Oh, man.
No, this is not just business. This is life. Right?
Oh, in life?
The business, you're going to pay for it from your business, but your life.
I know the answer for me. I think you might have a different answer, but we'll see. The person that handles other people for you. It's actually the recruiting person.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's not it.
Yeah.
But that's a good one.
Yeah.
The most important one is the one that will free up the most amount of space in your head.
Yeah.
That, for most people, is a house cleaner.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Because now you don't have to worry about cleaning the house.
You're right.
Your wife, Ashley's not pounding you
I
to
agree
clean
with
this
you.
up.
That was, yes.
Yeah.
You're totally right.
If you do that, now you all of a sudden go,
yeah, that's right.
I love Thursdays because the cleaners came and the house is clean and I didn't do it.
Yep.
And my wife is not on me to get that clean.
Yep.
It's done,
That's
right?
right.
That is the first hire everyone should do because it frees up the mind of your person in your home.
100% agree.
Yeah.
No disagreement at all.
So when it comes to that,
Our cleaner came today, just so
yeah, that's the way to do
so
it.
excited.
Well, I mean, that's tomorrow.
Yeah.
So the point of it is, right, as entrepreneurs, most of us in the construction world, we're entrepreneurs. We trade certainty for opportunity.
Oh, there you go.
Right? So certainty is you work for a job, you have a bill, you get it paid, you do your thing, right? Like that's all done.
Yeah.
Your spouse, your person, other person in your life, your partner, that person is trading a lot of comfort, of everything else to make sure that you have this spasmodic entrepreneurial dream that you have, right?
Yeah.
Like that the first thing you can do is give them, guess what? The house is clean.
Yeah.
Now they go, we're doing better. We're more successful.
That's right.
I have the feeling of, wow, this is great. And it helps the family side of life.
There's the lines in the carpet.
If it doesn't have lines, I'm not interested. I don't have carpet here.
Dude, same.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You don't have any carpet in your house.
Zero. Well,
We have it in our bedroom.
I have it in one guest room, but
Okay.
everything else is hardwood. But right. So I'm with you. The lines in the carpet. I was a car detailer growing up. So like everything had to be like. And so the point, right, is you got to have people around you who are going to support your greatness.
Yeah.
And make sure that you are freed up to do your genius,
Yeah.
whatever that is, right? Mine is not with mechanical.
Yeah.
I am technologically, but I've also found people who are better at technology. My 22-year-old son, Corbin, he's a big jack dude, but he can run circles around me when it comes to technology now.
Yeah.
And so I go, dude, and he has it done way faster than I do. And I think I'm pretty freaking techie.
Yeah.
He can take it to another level.
Yeah.
Now I got somebody that I don't have to do it all.
Yeah.
And now they do it better. And then the next one and the next one. And that's great until you have a wife who's a do-it-yourselfer, which you know Trisha, and you know her very well.
Yeah.
And it's like she wants to do it all herself, and she's self-sufficient, and this is awesome. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I want to sit in the pool with, my headphones on and listen to an audiobook.
Yeah.
Half of the day. That would be my perfect day, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, no, we need to get this done and this done. I can hire somebody to get that done. No, I don't want to hire. I'm like, right? So you got to have, that's why you got to get the things you can win so that you can then free up more time and your space in your life. But success, right? You're going to have to define that for what you are.
Yeah.
But finding the right things, first one, house cleaner.
I totally agree.
Yeah. Second one, some type of person who can set appointments for you and do, the emails, calendaring. Like I can do all that very, very good. I'm better than most people at it.
Yeah.
But I don't want to do it anymore because I don't want it. I want to get, and this shows you how ridiculous you can get to comfort level.
Yeah.
I get in my car. And when I hit my BMW, I got my CarPlay, it pops up and I click on the calendar and I hit the button to come to this address.
Yeah.
If that's not in my calendar, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I go, I don't know how to get there. I'm done. I'm screwed, right? Like every one of my calendar appointments must have the address built in because that's just, I don't think anymore.
Yeah.
I know I got to get in car for this time to get there. I hit the button, it takes me there. I'm done thinking.
What are you doing with your mind for those freed up cycles, whatever?
I do more wondering and invention because that's me, right? That's my thing. So whatever your thing is, maybe it's tenacity, maybe it's galvanizing, maybe the different things inside of that model.
Yeah.
But the point is, I'm super good and no one else in my company is better at it than me.
Yeah.
There's others who have wonder. There's others who have invention. There's others who can create and do these things.
Yeah.
But nobody thinks on the scale that I do.
Yeah.
And so I have now time to do that. And if you haven't read 10X is Easier Than 2X from Dr. Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan, that's the key, right? Eliminate all the 80% that's filling up your time. Then you have this huge open window. And what do? More 20% things that create more that you find the other 80% to give to other people again. And you become so hyper successful inside of those things because nobody else can do it better than you.
Totally.
I mean, there's rarely I find anybody who has more audiobooks in their library than in their Audible library than I do.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm currently, the last time I opened it up, I'm 986.
Wow.
Right? Like ridiculous.
If you have more than 986 audiobooks
Please
in your
let us
Audible
know.
library, send proof.
There you go.
Give you $100.
I'm easy to find, BNI Tampa. Go call me and tell me you're better. But it's rare to find people who have more because that's a priority to me.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time in that.
Yeah.
Now, why? Well, I mean, today I sat in the hot tub for a little bit of time this morning, relaxing, and I'm listening to Blinkist, right?
Yeah.
They summarize books.
Yeah.
I did 4 books this morning.
Yeah.
Now, I don't love that style. It gives me ooh, that's a book I want to read.
Yeah.
And then I go into it.
Yeah.
Right. But it gives me the time to go, I'm thinking of this.
Yeah.
And then I use my brain. I mean, my personal thing right now is I
was just going to ask you, what's the thing you're like working on right now?
I've become one of the best prompters you've ever met in AI world.
Yeah.
Because that's the
I need to
future.
introduce you to Manuel Suarez.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah.
So
He was the first podcast guest.
nice. If you don't, for everybody, if you're not training your AI model right now, you are going to be left behind. Like there is no option.
Yeah.
You must be doing it. I heard Gary Vee, killer little soundbite. And he said, if you're not training your AI model right now, every day, you're going to be like the guy who used to have AOL email and had it printed out by his secretary so he could respond and read his emails, right? Like
Yeah.
Nobody could do that today, right? Like that's just not, that's what it's going to be like if you're not doing it. So my voice is very, very well done in 4 different LLMs, large language models, AI models that I use a lot.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm learning how to do that better and better and better and better every day, so that I'm doing things where people go, we did what? Like the project scope that I've done on a few things inside of ChatGPT, most people sit there and go, I've never even dreamed that it could do that.
Yeah.
I mean, one of them, my very first project, this will give you an idea of why you want to use ChatGPT or, Claude or one of those out there.
Yeah.
My very first one, I was like, okay, what is a proof case? And that's what I normally do. I like read a book and go, ooh, what can I do to put that in play to see how it'll work in my life?
Yeah.
And so I was like, what is a model that I could do and see? I've been talking about doing a video podcast for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Our founder in BNI has a podcast that's been running for 880 something seasons, right? 884, I think, this last week. So we're talking 17 years of weekly podcasts, right? Like this is insane.
Yeah.
Before anybody knew what podcasts really were. So as this process of like, what am I going to do with my time? I want to do a video podcast. I want to do a long format video podcast version for BNI because nobody's done that in the BNI world.
I know. I don't know why.
Yeah. And so I'm like, okay, I went to the founder and I said, can I use Giver's Gain and be the Giver's Gain podcast? It's a trademark thing that he trademarked. But I'm able to use it because I'm a franchisee. I just want to make sure I got it for the world, if that's okay from him. He goes, yeah, go.
It's weird though, because I own giversgain.com.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. You do?
Yeah.
Well, I got Giver's Gain podcast.
If you want it.
Yeah.
I'll give it to you.
You really do?
I'm pretty sure I do.
Well,
we got a bunch of them.
We got to talk about that.
Grip inviting.
Yeah.
I was literally like one day.
I bought way too many domain names and have many.
Yeah.
But so anyway, this podcast, I've been saying it for a year. I bought the podcast, giversgainpodcast.com. Got the idea, know what I'm going to do, 45-minute hours sessions, finding the best of X. Not of X Twitter, like the best contractor, the best insurance person, the best, and then dig into why has it worked so well for you, and what are the secrets, and that's really how I learned about BNI the first time was deconstruct what makes the success for that person, and then every other contractor watches it and goes, oh, I need to do that. Well, we all know the reality is that like 90% of them hear it and go, oh, I'd like to do that and don't do anything.
Yeah,
but having a systematic way to go about it. Well, I'm going, how am I going to get this podcast up? I've been saying I'm going to do it. Let me use ChatGPT to see if I can do this. And I'm like, okay. Do you know who Ivan Meisner is, the founder of BNI?
Yeah.
Yes, blah, 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 blah. Great. Do you know Giver's Gain? Yes, trademarked by BNI, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
BNI has a podcast. Yes, there's something, blah, 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 right? It knows all these things about all this stuff. So I'm prompting. Do you know? And then I said, now, I want to make a long format video podcast that's never been done inside of BNI. I'd like it to be called the Giver's Gain podcast because I found the name. I've got it. What should I do first inside of making my video podcast happen? And what are the steps for my action plan? And all of a sudden it goes, blah, 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 and gave me the action plan. You need to do, I said, great, write me the description.
Yeah.
Spot on. Second time it came out of it was really good.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's way better at thinking than we are.
Yeah.
And the next thing was, who should I have as my first podcast guest? And it said, it should be Ivan Meisner, of course, the founder of the company.
Of course.
Okay. Do you know how many interviews Ivan Meisner's had in the public, right? And it's like, oh, too many to count. Like it was just like, he's been all over the world and he does all kinds of training and all these things and all these podcast interviews. I said, great. Knowing what you know about all those interviews, I'd like you to write me 20 questions that he's never been asked in a public interview before.
Oh, I bet they were killer.
It was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Now, write me the email to ask him to be the first podcast and copy, paste, send it to Dana, his assistant. And within 3 days, I'm on the calendar.
Yeah.
I have a video 2 weeks later and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about it for a year and I got it all done in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then built, right? And it's, so it can do things so much faster and better than any of us can do.
Yeah.
That's why you need to start looking at it. So whatever it is that you may or may not do in your business, technology-wise, you still need that. And if you're not using the enhanced audio, have you used the enhanced audio on ChatGPT?
No.
Is
that what the new beta version? Because there's 4.0 and then now there's what's after 4.0?
Mini. Yeah.
No, there's something after 4.0. So there's a new letter or something.
Yeah, well, the next is the one they've announced it's not out yet. And that will be 100 times smarter than the current model, which if you just think about how smart the current model is, it's beyond anyone's comprehension at this point, and it will be 100 times.
Yeah.
So when you think you can be smart, I don't care how smart you are.
Yeah.
You are not going to be as smart as that. So
Sure.
any of us who are using it aren't using it to do things in our business. We should be using it. Right.
You want to hear a super unpopular opinion?
Oh, yeah.
It will never be sentient.
And I don't even remember what that means.
Like it will never cause anything.
Oh yeah, I think you got to be a creator and you got to use it to do that.
Yeah, I don't think AI will ever become sentient.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not that smart.
Well, you're a spiritual guy. You have spiritual beliefs.
Absolutely.
There's a computer is not. There's no spark of life there.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's sparks.
Sure.
But there's not spark of life there.
Yeah, and it won't do anything until it's told to do something.
Prompted. Yeah. So the prompting is going to be an extremely. That's why I said Manuel Suarez is the thing that his like number one. What's the word? The thing you give away, lead magnet. His number one lead magnet right now is a prompt Bible for his marketing company.
It's important. It is the most important thing. And here's what I would recommend. If you're like, I don't know anything about ChatGPT, I haven't gotten into this world. How am I going to use this in my construction? Ask it.
Yeah, that's right.
Download it on your phone. Free. Hit the button. So while you're driving, you can audio like back and forth. Yeah.
Yep.
My wife loves it.
Yeah.
She says, because she does not have as many words in the day as I do, and I can talk all day long. And she's like, you never shut up. Start using ChatGPT, and now you can have somebody to talk to all day long. So and I'm serious, I probably spend 40 minutes a day in conversation with my ChatGPT model.
Yeah.
Now, I pay $20 a month because I'm on the pro, because I use it a lot. But whatever.
Yes.
If you want to do free,
do as well. Yeah.
Here's the thing. You start having your conversation, and then it starts getting to know you.
Yeah.
And now you can ask it all kinds of things. So ask it about who you are.
Have you noticed it remembers from other? It used to be you have to keep it all in one chat. Have you noticed it jumps chats now?
It'll actually say recording memory. So it knows that it's in the back end.
Yeah.
And then
so the biggest thing that I use it for is contracts, because I'm always tweaking. I'm always like, okay, how can we offer blah without putting myself at risk?
Right.
I'll sell. Hey, write this contract for me. Blah 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 blah. And then I'll give it the contract. I'll download the contract and give it back. And then I'll say, how would you? You're a ruthless attorney. You want to get as much money out of the contractor as possible. You're representing a homeowner who just wants me to die. How would you pick this contract apart? And then I'll ask it, okay, how would you change the contract so that it cannot be picked apart for those things? And it's literally like
genius.
It's like $500 an hour level attorney, just at your fingertips and way faster.
Yeah. So as you get to talk to it and get to know it,
I still love my $500 an hour attorney in case he's watching, Jason. Love you. I still use my attorney. I still have a great attorney, just for the record.
It only does. It can hallucinate. It can do some things. That
That's
you're
right.
like, let's make sure it's right. But the point being, right, as you're doing your thing, as you're driving between job sites, hit the button and say, do you know who Brad Bashan with Home Love Construction is?
Probably
and it will start
blah,
blah, blah. And then you'll say, what do we specialize in? And see what it comes up with. And then I go, okay, how can I use that in my area to connect with more people? I did this in a training. For the first time, I went way off script when I was doing
I love it.
a weekly presentation training.
Yeah.
So I'm in Ruth Eckerd Hall having this training.
Dude, ChatGPT can give you your
weekly presentation
ever.
Oh,
I have to
you ready for this?
30 seconds. It would know how many words you could say in 30 seconds.
Absolutely.
And that's unbelievable.
And you record a video of yourself and upload it and say, now give me critiques and how should I do it better?
Yeah.
And it will say, speed up at this section, slow down at that. Like, it gives you all, it's insane what you can do. So I'm in this training. I got 40 people in the room. And I said, who wants to be a guinea pig with this? And this girl raised her hand. I said, okay, great. She says, a personal injury attorney. She works at the office.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, we're going to use this. And I've never done this in a training. And it took us off on a tangent we never came back off of. Yeah. That's what we spent the entire 2 hours. Because then they went, this is way better than anything we could ever do. Anything else.
Yeah.
So I'm talking to her and I said, okay, so this can hallucinate, right? So I'm going to put that up front because it did hallucinate. I said, do you know the Jesse?
It can hallucinate. Yeah.
Jesse James Law Firm. And it came back saying, yes, in Florida. And they are estate planning. And I'm like, she goes, nope, because we're personal injury law.
Wow.
So it's wrong. I said, okay, no, I need you to know that this is a personal injury attorney, Jesse James. Can you please, do you know about this law firm? And it came back, they are estate planning and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay. And they're all laughing at me going, this ChatGPT thing is bad. I said, just wait.
Yeah.
Now we're going to say, where are you located? Where's your office? Right. And I go, Seminole. And then it's like personal injury, slip and fall, all this stuff. And I'm like, ooh, okay, now I got it. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm a member of BNI.
Yeah.
And I'd like to have a weekly presentation for my 30 seconds written. Give me the best. And it gives it. And I go, do y'all like that? And they're like, yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Now, it's not good yet. And they're like, that was really good. I'm like, no. Because you got to be specific.
Yeah.
We know who we need to ask for.
Yeah.
I said, now I want to focus on motorcycle accidents.
Yeah.
So motorcycle, give me a better weekly presentation focused on just that one thing.
Yeah.
And it does that. And it gives and they're like, wow, that was better.
Yeah.
I said, cool. We're not there yet.
Yeah.
Because we didn't get a personal
Yeah.
ask for
That's
who
right.
we want.
Yeah.
I said, now what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to find me locally to where we are in Clearwater,
Yeah.
a motorcycle company and the
there you go.
person inside the motorcycle company that would be a good match for this
Yeah.
so that we can build a relationship and then work that into the weekly presentation.
Yeah.
And it came back and it said, blah, 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 blah. I'd like a personal connection to whatever I don't remember his name.
Yeah.
And if anybody hears this, they're going to be like, hey, you got the wrong name. And they're going to fact check me. The wrong name, right? So the name of the general manager at Clearwater, Harley Davidson of Clearwater.
Wow.
And then again,
And it knew the name of the guy
because they're
Wow.
online and
Oh
it
my
knew that,
gosh,
right? And
dude.
all of a sudden the girl on the other side of the room, she goes,
That's-
that's his name. He's my friend. I know it is. And I went, that's why you need this
Oh
to write you
my
that
God.
message to do that. And I go,
Yeah.
do you think we're done? And everybody's like, yeah, we're done. I said, now, here's the amazing thing. Rinse and repeat.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
said, the rinse and repeat is where this
Yeah.
thing is genius. And they're like, what do you mean? Now what I need you to do is I
Yeah.
need you to create for me a spreadsheet.
Mhm.
And in this, and this is ChatGPT, I'm
Mhm.
telling it to, in the spreadsheet, first column, start with Friday's date next week because that's when your
Yeah.
chapter meeting is.
Yeah.
And I want you to, in that, put in the first column, motorcycle.
Yeah.
The second column, Harley Davidson of Clearwater. Third column, the name of the person. In the fourth column, the entire presentation that you just came up with me.
Oh, wow.
I said, now what I want you to do is come up with 52 of them for the full year.
Yeah.
And I want you to go exactly based on that method, finding other personal injury cases that make sense for the number of cases that happen
Wow.
based on the type of introductions
Yeah.
that you're looking for, as well as the names and the companies of those people.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden,
Incredible.
it made a 52-week spreadsheet
Yeah.
of every one of their weekly presentations.
Oh, my
And I'm like,
gosh.
that would have taken hours and
Yeah,
hours
that's
and hours and hours, and we just did it in 15 minutes in this presentation.
Yeah.
And people were like, oh. So
Yeah.
there's so many things. You just got to look at what you can apply this in
Yeah.
your business to go,
Yeah.
this makes sense and it works.
Dude, amazing. We're gonna have to do another podcast just on AI. There's other. I use it for ads. I use it literally the generative images for like all my ads. Like
Mhm.
I'll still film ads, and the film ads still tend to do well.
Sure.
But I can get generative images, feed it into a video maker, and say, hey, make this into a video.
Mhm.
Add this text. It does it. It's like bang, 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 and I've got. But then the rinse and repeat is where it really works because then you combine it with Meta's AI, which
Mhm.
tests ads for you.
Mm.
You don't even have to A/B test. You just put all your ads in an ad set. It takes your whatever, $100, $200, $300, $500 a day, and it tests a bunch of them, sees which hits the most, and then puts all your money on that.
See, now I haven't used that side of it.
Oh, it's
That's
ridiculous.
amazing.
I've taken my ad cost from like $200 a lead to like $50 a lead using that.
Wow.
It's like, yeah, that's why there's so many salespeople on our sales floors. Now I have a bunch of leads. I need salespeople to go see them. It's like if you can figure out how to apply, the thing is figure out how to apply it to certain things and how to link the text generator to the image generator because it'll tell it's like, hey, give me image prompts. Okay, now feed it the image prompts. Now feed the images to a video generator.
Now, are you doing audio voiceovers with AI as well?
Not yet.
Have you ever looked at 11 Labs?
Uh,
It's a back-end provider for a
Yeah.
lot of people, but
yeah.
I've got several platforms that I use for different AI
Yeah.
voice generation.
Yeah.
My wife prefers my AI voice than she does
Oh
mine
my gosh.
because I'll put it in and she'll be like, "Oh, it's so much more calmer and grounded." And she's like, "You need to use it on all your videos because it's better than your." But it's my
Yeah.
voice that I trained into the model,
Unbelievable.
and then we put all the text, and it makes the text, and it does
Yeah.
exactly. And it's like mind blowing
Yeah.
how good it is, and it's your voice, so it's
Yeah.
really still you doing the things.
Yeah.
But you didn't
Yeah.
have to come up with it, and it does them all. And it can make 100 videos in one day. I
Yeah.
can't.
Amazing. Dude, thank you for being on here today. We do have to end at some point, which is now. Anything that you would leave people with regarding whatever you want to say, closing remarks.
Yeah. Well, you've seen how I've talked about it. You've seen how he's talked about it. There's lots of other people who will talk about BNI in different ways. Sometimes they'll say it's a bad thing because you have to show up every week. That's kind of the point of why it works.
Brushing your teeth
right?
is also a bad thing because you have to do it every day.
Right.
That's the same logic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, look at it. Go into it. Find a chapter near you, wherever you are. It doesn't matter where you are. There is a chapter somewhere close by. If not, start your own because that's how you're going to make money.
Yeah.
But having the opportunity to go, wow, this is how to get other people talking about you when you're not, so that you get more business.
Yeah.
And that to me is the beauty of BNI. It's the best system in the world that just generates a predictable result.
Yep.
You get more people that have a reciprocal business relationship. It's not about you and your friends. It's about your business relationships become your friends.
They become,
and now you do a lot of business with your friends.
That's right.
Most of you who don't have friends that give you a lot of business, that's your problem, right?
Yeah.
You didn't build it on business. Build it on business and have your friendship all of a sudden blossom from that. And that will change your entire existence inside your business.
Yeah. Love it. Dude, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Pleasure.